Hey everybody, it's Anna J. Wallner with the Author Library, and today I have Catherine Graham. Catherine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Catherine. It's nice to meet you in person. and I am the author of a book coming out in July called The Vow That Twisted Fate. It's a epic fantasy. So I just love writing, love reading, traveling, spending time with my cats and my family. And I've been writing a good bit of my life and helping other people sort of with their books as a professional beta reader and a proofreader, and have seen them get published. And now it's like, okay, it's my turn to try to put my book out there.
That's awesome. And The Vow That Twisted Fate is your debut novel, but it's just the start of things to come. Is this a series?
So The Vow That Twisted Fate is actually a standalone.
Okay.
But I do have a series of novellas going. There's a free novella that I sort of leaked to my email list that will be coming out on Amazon in June. And then my first actual series is supposed to come out at the beginning of next year, called the Britannia Chronicles, and that's a dark fantasy series. More demons and lords and mythological creatures and crossover between that, where Vow That Twisted Fate is a more classic epic fantasy, good versus evil, an evil sorceress versus a pure woman who was raised in a world where all evil had been banished, so she's never experienced evil before in her life.
Wow, that is an interesting that's an interesting storyline. I'm always interested to hear how people come up with such unique ideas for their stories.
I love talking about how I started this one, because this one was actually a dream I had, a very vivid dream. Woke up in the middle of the night one night, and I had seen one of the pivotal scenes in this, which is in chapter 1 in this book, and also a scene closer to the middle of what's now this book, of her in the dark world for the first time in her life. It's a parallel dimension. She gets dragged from her dimension over there, and realizes she has to close a gateway between the two dimensions to keep the evil out of her world. And so getting sort of her response to being there in a world where evil is that she's never seen it before, and wondering, is that a part of who she is? And bringing out the best in creatures that other people thought were evil. And it makes her question, does everybody have good and evil in them? Or is there a fine line? And so when I woke up, I just started writing, and I stored that handwritten version away and waited till NaNoWriMo, which was like the next month, National Novel Writing Month in November, and signed up for NaNoWriMo with this book that year. And that's when I knocked out the first draft.
It sounds like there are a lot of different layers to the book, and for an epic fantasy, that's what you would expect, along with a lot of world building there. So you not only have one but two worlds. So is everything in in her original world completely flipped in the other dimension, or are there just subtle differences?
That's a great question. So there's an opening. It's not a prologue, but there's an opening about the antagonist and her rival, which is the main character, Arlena's ancestor. And the ancestor split off good and evil from her world into the two dimensions. And you sort of see that in the opening scene. So it's sort of our world as it exists today. In the beginning, skyscrapers and cars, and there's magic thrown in there. And then her ancestor, Queen Valera, banishes everything that she believes to be evil to the other dimension. So all technology it's sort of to make you think about what's evil, what's not evil on a subtle level. So Arlena's world, the main character's world, is mostly, I think, more of a Middle Earth feel to it, castles and horses and You throw in fauns and centaurs and some other creatures along those lines, and of course elves and dwarves, and they all live together and they're happy. And the alternate dimension is all these really awful looking creatures and druids and imps, and they wear like leather clothes, and everybody in Arlena's world's vegetarian. Everybody over there, they're like, oh, who cares? We eat whatever we want to eat. So it's just different mindsets also. So it falls to her in this world, in this book, to basically be the judge in the end, and realize, does she have the power to be the judge at the end of it? Because the evil sorceress wants to bring all her people back into the world that she used to live in and remerge everything.
Very intriguing. It sounds amazing. I mean, the description even is immediately captivating, and it starts actually when Queen Arlena sees a sign in the sky, and things just go wild from there. Is there a hidden meaning to the sign in the sky, the pentagram that she sees?
So there's spoilers that I can't go into a whole lot.
Of course, yes.
But on the front end, the pentagram appears in the second chapter of the book, and it sort of lingers there watching her, and there's a pair of eyes, and like stars and constellations in the shape of eyes, and she realizes that that's the sorceress watching their world from her world. And the majority of the book takes place in the peaceful world, in the innocent world. And until now, Arlene has lived a life that's just court, playing court, because there's not anything really bad in the world to fight. So with elves and dwarves, and fantasizing about marrying her childhood best friend, who's the elf prince. And that pentagram appears in the sky, and the first evil creatures start to fall through it into their world in chapter 2. And so she's then facing creatures she's never seen and danger she's never seen, and she starts to think, wow, this is
her entire life changes.
Right.
Wow. And the story takes off from there. It almost seems like in that way Arlena is having to grow up in the story, making hard choices that she never had to before.
Yes.
So kind of a little bit of a coming of age there as well. Is this considered a young adult fantasy, or how would you describe the age level?
This one's technically an adult fantasy.
Okay.
I'd say there's some Lord of the Rings level fighting and violence. No huge epic battles. It is more of a classic epic fantasy than a sword and sorcery. So there's that, but there is a clean romance in it.
Okay. I love the way I was going, very deftly put.
A clean romance through the book, although not necessarily who you would think. Spoilers.
That was fine.
No spoilers. And it was a hard decision between new adult and adult, because of course you have young adult. This was definitely not young adult. Some of the themes in here dealing with, demons and evil dimensions and evil creatures, and her, when she's in the evil world, the things she sees were maybe more mature for a young adult audience. And new adult, I was on the fence about, because you still have like the 18-year-olds in there, and some people may feel comfortable with this content and some people might not feel comfortable with this content. And
new adult is such a really new a really new categorization for ages that I don't think has truly been defined yet. So in fact, whenever you're listing it on Amazon, there aren't a lot of, I don't even know if, I think it says new adult college. I think that's the genre that or the subgenre that you can list it in. But it's still really new. So there are some dark parts to the story as well, which you would expect, given that there are, with the balance of the world of light and the world of darkness where Arlena's transported to, that would make sense. So but we all have a journey and a story that led us to become authors. And I'm interested to hear yours. You said that you'd been beta reading for a little while and just, realized that it was your time to make the leap and write the book. And then the dream, it seems like everything just kind of came all together at the right time.
Yeah, I've been beta reading and proofreading since I was in college. I was about 17 when I started. I published my first poem when I was still in grade school. And then I wrote 2 books that I tried to self-publish back in my college years. And I didn't know the process very well. And I was short on money because I was a college kid. I was like, I can't afford, editing or anything like that. And so I had somebody in my immediate family who was an editor look over one of my books, but I rushed her. I gave her 2 days to edit the whole book. And then I was like, nope, I don't have more time. And then I was very proud and I hadn't had a fall yet. And I'm like, I'm not going to format it. I just throw it up. So I threw it up on Amazon, a young adult book, and it just flopped. And I got the 2 stars and 1-star reviews. And then I quit writing for a while. And in that time, of course, I was in college. So I finished my technical editing course in college. I was originally going to be an English major and then decided there probably wasn't as much money in English, which is not true because there's editing and stuff out there, but I didn't think about that. So I decided to do a Japanese major. And
what is that?
I'm fluent in Japanese, and I was already
Japanese major. I'm sorry. I thought you said Jack means. I was like, what is that? I have not heard of that major before.
Yeah.
Apologies.
So I was fluent in Japanese already, and I was like, well, I can make money doing Japanese, so I'm going to go ahead and major in Japanese. I already know the language, no big deal. And got in there, did learn a whole lot from it, but I still took honors level English, and I helped proofread for the English department, papers. There's a writing center at most universities, and you can go in and people will help you with your papers, and I was one of those people. So I left there and started beta reading for fellow authors professionally, using the coursework on how to beta read, how to do a professional critique. And I think it was really this past year when my beta reading picked up to be an actual business for me. Something just switched in me. My husband read part of The Vow That Twisted Fate back last June and was like, this is special. You need to get this edited and published. And I was hesitant to do it.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 books for clients signed by traditional publishers. And at that point, I was like, okay, I read their review of my work, my feedback, and one of them said, this person knows how a story is supposed to be written. And I was just thinking, if that's true, maybe I have a chance at finishing my own book. And so with the help of 4 amazing editors, 4 amazing beta readers, a formatter, and a cover designer, we put together The Vow That Twisted Fate. And the ARC readers have it right now. And the first 5-star review I've ever had in my life came up on Goodreads, and I literally just cried my eyes out on Valentine's Day. Ugly cried because I finally got a 5-star review. So it's
congratulations.
My comeback story. It's not only my first novel and my first adult fantasy novel, but it's also my Rise from the Ashes Phoenix story, which I hope inspires other people watching. You can pick up from less than 0, which is where I was. And I looked at it as like, I have no platform. I have no reputation. I have negative reviews. That's worse than having no reviews. And I got a mentor, Lindsay, who's fantastic. And she basically walked me through, here's what you need to do to prove that you've improved your craft, to prove your reputation, what you've learned, and show that you can come back. And it's been totally worth it. It's a crazy ride, but it's worth it.
Fantastic. And it's available now for pre-order, is that right?
It is, but you guys are the only ones that know. I
Thank you.
I do have it on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. There's a hardback, a paperback, and a ebook, both Nook and Kindle, and then it's available on Google Play.
Okay. And
It comes
when,
out
and
July 9th.
I was gonna say, when is the actual release date? So July 9th. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough. I went through the same thing with my first two books. Just threw them up on Amazon and then learned from my mistakes. That's what we that's what we all have to do is sometimes make those mistakes to see what we need to improve on. And it's not always fun when other people point them out to us, but taking that constructive criticism and seeing what we can do differently always helps. But I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that do give up and don't write again, and that's just an inspirational thing that you did, because I really do. I think that once you're an author, once you're a writer, once you have those stories inside and you've put them down on paper, there's really not a whole lot that you can do to get away from that side of creativity. It's going to sneak up on you. It's going to keep bugging you.
That's right.
Just,
yeah, I think coming back to it, the best thing I learned from flopping was to be humble and to be teachable. Because when I put my first two out, I was definitely, I know what I'm doing. I don't need an editor. I can edit this myself. And since then, in growing, I've realized it does take a village to really put good work out. And so since starting it up, I'm trying to plug in, the author communities, the Instagram community, YouTube community, Facebook and Twitter, and learn from the masters who've done this before me, and also try to pass on what I've learned, similar to what you've done with your YouTube channel, just passing on what you've learned for us who are not quite where you are yet.
Well, and and there are a lot of people that are further than I am. Astrid VJ, who just won but she was listed as she made the USA Today bestsellers list just last week. And I know she's going to be on, she's agreed to come back on the show and talk about her after the book is published, marketing and advertising. So I am thrilled that she agreed to do that. I'm very much looking forward to that next month sometime. And so there are people that I can't wait to learn from. So yes. it's a so I but thank you for saying that. There's always someone that's further along. There's always someone that has has more information, more experience, more everything. The thing is that it's a marathon and not a sprint.
That's right.
Which I didn't understand in the beginning at all. I thought, I'm going to put this out there and it's just going to sell and, all good. And that's not true. And you made another really, really good point. The cover art, the editor, the formatter, all of this, while self-publishing can be free, it's not maybe always the most prudent thing to do, is to try and do absolutely everything yourself. There is a little bit of cost that goes into creating your book.
Yeah, but just like there's independent authors, there's independent editors and formatters who do quality work, who might do it for a day job and need a little extra on the side. And I'm very proud of the work that I've had. My editors have made my book look like a traditional publishing house level book, but they were very affordable. These were mostly ladies. My formatter was a gentleman, but mostly ladies who poured their heart and soul in 4 weeks' time each over this work. And I found 2 of them through Fiverr and 1 of them through a friend of my family. And I just say shop around, you know, if you're watching and you're an author, shop around a little bit, look on Upworks and Fiverr and Freelancer and find some people.
And ask the other authors in the writing community. You know, that's a great thing about being in a writing community, is that more oftentimes than not, it's about networking as well, talking
Yes.
with people and sharing ideas. The person that does my character art was a recommendation from Brittany Weissrock.
Wow.
So you know, I asked her, I said, I really like your stuff. Would you mind telling me where you did it? And you know, she's very happy to share the information with me. So you know, a lot of people, if they're proud of the job that they've had done, like a good editor or a good cover artist, then they're more than likely to share that information with you. So just ask. You never know.
That's right. Maybe you can swap services, you know, if you're good at something and they're good. All my beta reading money that I make as a job goes into my book publishing fund. That's how I afford to do my book. Because no matter what you do, even if all you do is advertise and you do swaps for everything else, something is going to cost money, you know, your ISBN or something. And so, you know, since you have to do all the work to research this stuff anyway, like find something you're really good at and then pour it back into your work.
Very true. Hey, that is some awesome advice. And thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking with us. And guys, Katherine's links will all be in the description below as always. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out. Like I said, we're going to have Astrid back on next month sometime to talk marketing, which I know we all can use a little extra information on. But Katherine's book, the Vow That Twisted Fate, available for pre-order now and releasing in July. I will have that link down there, so go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble and check those out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you
everybody for watching.
Hey guys, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again soon.